Welcome to the Selling from the Heart podcast on the From the Heart Business Network. You've joined a global movement of sales professionals who are dedicated to being authentic and building trust. We call it Selling from the Heart. Together, we're on a mission to bring sincerity and substance to the sales profession we all love. Get ready to be inspired and equipped as we join our hosts, Larry Levine and Darrell Amy.
If you love the Selling from the Heart podcast, then you know how much we value authentic leadership and building relationships with heart. But here's the thing. Great leadership doesn't stop with sales. It starts at the top with CEOs who inspire trust, create meaningful cultures, and lead with purpose.
That's why we're excited to invite you to get involved with the Culture from the Heart podcast. On Culture from the Heart, we celebrate CEOs who are transforming their companies by putting people first. And we're asking you to help us find them.
Do you work for an incredible leader? Know a CEO who builds culture from the heart? Nominate them to be interviewed on the show. Together, let's spotlight the leaders who make businesses thrive by leading authentically.
So head over to cultureFromTheHeart.com to submit your nomination today. Because when leadership starts with the heart, culture and success follow. Hello and welcome back to the Selling from the Heart podcast. Your co-host, Darrell Amy, here today with Larry Levine. What's going on, Larry?
Hey, first of all, great seeing you, Darrell. We got all kinds of things happening here at Selling from the Heart. Something tells me we're going to have a phenomenal time today, Darrell.
I think this one is going to resonate with you. Get ready to meet our friend Scott Ramey today. Hey, thank you for joining us. We've got we just so many fun things going on as we're now making the turn into fall. I'm so thankful for that. And we're excited as we head into, now the end of the third quarter and focusing on into the fourth quarter. It's kind of hard to believe we're here. We said we were going to keep things hot all summer. Well, guess what? We're not slowing down. We're going to keep at it throughout this fall. We've got an incredible lineup of guests. And as our commitment always is at Selling from the Heart, we want to bring you fresh voices and fresh ideas that are going to help you not only succeed, but do it in a way that resonates with Selling from the Heart, which means doing it the right way, Larry.
Absolutely. But before I give the shout out, did you just say fall? I can't believe it. But nevertheless, we're knocking on fall. I don't know where the year's gone, but I just want to give a special shout out to Ashley Potter. Darrell, Ashley, just one amazing leader in a company that's got culture like none other. Ashley, thank you for being a true Selling from the Heart champion.
Here. Definitely second to that. Well, we're in for a treat today. Our guest is the definition of authenticity in action. Scott Ramey is a keynote speaker, coach, and founder of the Scott Ramey Group. With more than 30 years guiding high-performing leaders and sales professionals, Scott has made it his mission to help people overcome anxiety, forge genuine connections, and communicate with clarity and confidence. Scott is the creator of the Ramey Method, a powerful framework for unlocking your authentic presence, crafting a compelling vision, and leading with impact. His signature approach is called the Resonance Edge. This is all about driving performance through people-first interactions, building trust, and creating cultures where engagement thrives. And we're excited to have him here in the studio with us today. Scott, welcome to Selling from the Heart. It's great to have you here.
Thanks for having me. I thought this was a Jacksonville Jaguar preview show. Am I in the right spot?
But I will tell you this, Scott, I've had some anxiety about this conversation. So I may need to lay on the couch for this one.
Maybe, or if not before, certainly after, for sure.
Well, I'll tell you one thing that I know you're not anxious about is answering the question that every guest on this show answers. And Scott, I'm really looking forward to hearing your answer to this. What does it mean to you to sell from the heart?
I love this question because to me, it's not a soft perspective. To me, it means how do we resonate at a higher level that really connects with people in the moment. I think that's really why I've created my business and the mission that I'm really trying to serve. So not a soft perspective at all from my standpoint. Heart is sometimes can be misinterpreted. The idea of love in an organization can be misinterpreted. But I mean, to me, it's about how do you resonate and how do you do it repeatedly, time and time again, no matter what's happening around you or in the situation you find yourself.
Mhm.
Oh, this is so good. Can you unpack this resonate at a higher level? Because you really piqued, I think I know where you're going with this, but you really piqued my curiosity.
Well, let me maybe ground it in where I started. So I'm a small town Indiana kid. I grew up in a town of less than, I guess it was around 12,000 people at the time. It was like a large corporate seat, a county seat. So a lot of Midwest values, but I also was kind of plagued with anxiety early on in my, I've really had my first panic attack when I was in college. All that to share with you that I became what I now know as I was empath, and I could feel energy when I went into a room. So what I've often viewed as my biggest obstacle or challenge in my corporate career as I navigated into the C-suite eventually, I thought it was a weakness, really became a strength. And what I was able to determine and figure out pretty quickly was that I could feel the energy in a room, but I also could churn the energy in a room because I felt it so strongly. And so now I try to teach that to people when I work with them, working on communication, leadership, communication skills, and sales skills, is how can we feel that energy? So for me, resonance really means three things: crystal clear clarity when you're delivering your message, authentic tone, which speaks to your focus on authenticity, which I love, and maybe most importantly, genuine connection. And how do you create a genuine connection no matter the circumstances? Easier said than done, but that's how I think about it.
I love it. I love it. Well, let's start there. Let's start with this crystal clear connection, because I know our sales professional friends listening in and also leaders as well can really benefit from resonance. This is a great topic here. So crystal clear connection, clarity. Sorry, let's get clear. Crystal clear clarity. How do we achieve that? And where do we go wrong with that?
Yeah, it starts with reading the moment. I think about, most of at least the last decade of my professional career as an executive, we were in a large institutional environment. So we were going and doing large pitches with corporate clients, intermediaries. And what I noticed time and time again, and what I noticed most of my career, is that we tend to misread the moment, the energy in the room, the timing, the stakes, the tension, the tone, the level of trust. How do we have to shift the room? And so it starts there. And then secondly, knowing the audience, that kind of a human awareness perspective. We tend to want to bring in our energy, what we want to bring, what we want to convey, the importance of our story. But if you don't read the moment and then know the audience, then it really doesn't matter what you say. But once you have clarity around the moment and the audience, how do I organize my thoughts in a way that are clear and concise? That's how I view it. And that's how I kind of think about this. The interesting statistic I came across this doing a research for a new keynote that I've written is that 88% of buyers say that the clear and concise communication are the single most important factor in their positive buying experience.
Wow.
And it's a study done by HubSpot, by the way, just to reference the content there. But so I think clarity of communication is one thing. We talk a lot about it. And I know with your audience, your sales leaders and sales professionals, but really unpacking that it's less about what you think you want to convey and what really needs to be conveyed.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and this is really good because Darrell already knows this, Scott. I'm a massive clarity guy, and things need to be crystal clear or I pump the brakes.
Mm-hmm.
But the same thing is when I'm engaging in conversation with people, I want to make sure that everybody's heard and understood. So we have a clear path moving forward. That's what I love about this conversation.
Yeah, it's so important. It was interesting. I was talking to a CEO earlier this week that reached out to me to talk about just this fact that he's finding himself in elevated situations in rooms, wants to play at a bigger role, bigger level. And, it's really important for us to be crystal clear that we don't have implicit communication, that we have explicit communication. And I think, I kind of harken back to my days in corporate. One of the first questions that I'd always hear it being asked is, how much time do I have? And I think that's the wrong question to ask. It's not about the time, because I would say that you don't need more time, you need fewer words. And if you can convey your message with less than more, my experience has taught me you're in a better position.
I like that. Yeah, I love this concept of reading the room. It actually makes me think of our dog. So we have the weirdest dog that anytime, it's so quirky, but anytime you're having a serious conversation, the dog is in the room, growling and trying to pick a fight or wanting to play. And, so we always say, read the room. and it's like, this is not the time to do this. But you referenced earlier being able to walk into the room and be able to read the room. And certainly the gift of being an empath is powerful. I would say that not all of us maybe have that gift. How do you read the room and maybe coach someone like me that isn't maybe as gifted in being an empath as other people? How would you coach someone like me to be able to be more in tune with what's going on in the room?
I love this question. So I think in order to understand and to read a room, which we'll get to that in a second, but as first is understanding where you are. And I kind of think of this in terms of if we had a temperature scale, so to speak, and if you think of yourself as exhilarated at the top of the scale and your temperature is like, I'm 100% engaged, I'm 100% present. And at the bottom, I may be apathetic or even depressed or kind of at a very low emotional tone scale. I think first things first, you've got to understand where you are on this tone scale. And before you can even begin to understand what the room's going to feel. And again, this is, I heard that I've learned this the hard way. I don't wish anxiety and living with that on anybody. But again, I now view it objectively as I've matured, and I'm 53 now. So I have hopefully a little bit more wisdom, but understanding where you are in that moment is step number one. Step two is then understanding the moment of gravity, the energy shift that you want to occur, because let's be honest, we're not going to go into any room, whether we're a leader or a sales professional or both. You want to shift the room. You want to shift the momentum. You want them to, most of the time, buy something from you, but understanding how you want that to occur. And then the emotional climate that individuals bring to the table. So if they're skeptical, as an example, your tone and how you approach it needs to be different. If they're more agreeable, then obviously the presentation or the conversation is going to be a little easier, but really kind of understanding the gravity, the shift that you want to occur, and the temperature that person is bringing into the room. But it has to start with where you are, because if you bring a bunch of baggage, scarcity comes to mind. Like when we think of the sales cycle, I mean, how many times have we been around somebody that brings a desperation to the table versus one of abundance? Like I'm very different if I really am not focused on the outcome versus if I am. And I think that's something that, it takes a seasoned salesperson oftentimes, or somebody who has a little bit more experience under their belt. But if you can accelerate that understanding that if you bring that energy in your tone to the room, you might be in trouble. And I think so getting clear is super important.
Hey, you know what, Scott? In the very beginning of this, I'm sitting here listening to what you're saying and talking about reading the room and so forth. I think of becoming situationally aware, but a lot of these things I think are happening really lightning fast inside of our heads. Am I tracking with you on this? That sometimes we don't even think about it. It's just rapid fire stuff that's happening. You're just asking us to become more cognizant. Is that correct?
I would say take a breath and a step, really you can take 4 to 10 seconds before you step into the room to understand where you are on that scale. And if you have that sense of awareness, 100%, that's exactly what I'm saying. Just a beat, literally a beat. Okay, where am I? How am I? And then I step into the room and I'm engaged, because it also gives you more presence. I'm much better if I'm fully in the moment than somewhere else and distracted. And it does happen so quick. And a lot of time it's so unconscious. We have no idea what even we're bringing to the moment. It could be you had an incident with your dog in the morning. You have that energy still with you. And for whatever reason, or like we have 2 labs and one of them went into anaphylactic shock 2 weeks ago. If I'm not clear in that moment, it's going to be felt by people subconsciously. The whole idea of, mirror neurons, that the energy is real that we convey. We can change the situation by the energy we bring into the setting. So that's 100% what I'm saying.
Powerful concept on this. So I'm just thinking here as well about, what if you mentioned the anxiety and the stressful situation, we're salespeople, we're going through our day at Mach, whatever speed. Good things and bad things happen, highs and lows throughout the day. So I'm a sales professional. I've just been hit with like 2 or 3 things that are not good news on email. And now I got to walk into a face-to-face or a Zoom meeting. And I've got to resonate, but I've just gotten kicked in the gut 2 or 3 times in a row.
Yeah.
What would you recommend to someone who's in that situation? Like, how do we triage that, and how do we show up in a way that's going to resonate without bringing that negative, energy into the room?
Well, the easiest way and the simplest way, and particularly if you're going from point A to point B in a hurry, which a lot of us are most of the time, is simply breath work. It could be a 4-box breath, 4 breaths in, hold for 4 out. If you have a moment to distract your mind, for example, to listen to a meditation, if you have 10 or 15 minutes to do a meditation quickly, that would absolutely help to recenter and rebalance you. You could do something creative like sketch or draw. Creativity allows us to get back into a present moment rather than in the previous moment. And I think that's the thing. There's the old adage, you can't step in the same river twice because the river is always moving. I think that, life is fluid, and we have to understand that about life. Most of us 100% understand that about life. Mm-hmm. And the next situation is not like the previous. So if you had a difficult conversation with your leader, as an example, because you are behind and you're 80% a goal, not 110% a goal, like all of this is real. We've all experienced it at one point or another. You have a bad day, you have a bad moment, you get bad news. But I'm just encouraging us all to be more present and understand that we're bringing that with us into a sales conversation, whether we realize it or not. Mm-hmm. And we're going to optimize our performance and how we are connecting with another individual if we don't bring that energy with us into the room. And then obviously we do the small things really well, that we're disinterested in what we're bringing to the table, and more interested in the client, that we communicate with crystal clarity so that what we're offering is not only heard but felt. But I think as simplest way is just some breath work between meetings, just to recenter, rebalance yourself. In the workshops I conduct, we always start with the breath work at the beginning. And I know I can see the faces when I ask them, close your eyes and put both feet on the floor and your hands on your knees. I kind of see the reaction. But then after we do 3 rounds of breathing, I know everybody's present, ready to get to work. We roll up our sleeves and we get after it.
Hey, and you know what's interesting? I want to flip the script on this, because we've been talking about sales professionals here, right? That are out there making things happen. But I guess the same could be said for sales leaders and executives as well. The exact same thing has to apply because everyone's watching you.
Yeah, Larry, I love this. It's more important, probably, honestly. I mean, I think that how many times have we've seen leaders, for instance, change and shift an entire room when they're in a bad mood?
Yep.
And I just think back to my career leading business development organizations. And, I tried and wasn't always successful. I tried to be really cognizant of what energy I brought to the situation, because messages bad news particularly travels fast in an organization. And so I would try to do my very best to try to insulate my teams from anything that might be perceived as negative. Not that I was always honest with them, but I think withholding information is also an ability. But when you withhold information that you don't want to get to your teams because you don't want to disrupt the flow and energy, that's a burden you have to carry as a leader. And I think that I know as well as anyone that what it feels like to carry a significant burden with you. And I should say, I've also seen that when leaders are maybe not in a great spot with their leader, how that can negatively impact a team, and pretty quickly, because and the reason why I call my framework the resonance edge is because there's such a fine line. Literally, we're on an edge between resonance and dissonance, and dissonance creates underperformance in organizations. I would argue that until the day I die, dissonance is not a good thing in organizations. And the other thing I would add is that aberration loves company. And if you're bringing dissonance into an organization, i.e. negative energy, because you find yourself in a difficult position, you will disrupt your team. There's no doubt about that. So I love your question, because leaders, we need to do our very best to resonate at a different level.
I'm thinking, Scott, of situations where you get into a meeting presentation and you get about halfway through it and you go, this isn't going well. I am aware of that, right? I may not be aware of reading the room as well, but once I'm in the middle of something, you can go, this isn't going well. I'm not, this is not going well. So help us out if I'm getting in the middle of a meeting and all of a sudden I'm waking up to the reality that this is just going in the ditch, off the tracks. It's what would you say to somebody like to rescue? How can you pull that thing out of the ditch? Is there a hope to rescue it once you get in that place? I hope the answer is yes.
Darrell, I was smiling because the answer is exactly what you just said. Because the beautiful part about that is that if it occurs, that means you're in the moment and you're present and you see it.
Got it.
And it's interesting because as I had a workshop this week, and what I noticed is that, again, we get so caught up in what we want to convey and what we want to present and what we want to communicate. But if you saw that very thing happen and you stopped and said, wow, I thought this was going to land better than it was. Clearly, I'm not hitting the mark. What's going to happen in the room? Everybody's going to laugh.
Right.
And you demonstrate a level of vulnerability. And people appreciate that. You guys talk about authenticity a lot. I really love your work. That's an authentic moment. And it's an opportunity as a leader to build additional credibility. Say, I'm missing a mark here. And I might say, okay, where do we go from here, folks? What would you like? And what do you need to hear from me today? And then all of a sudden, if you have the right framework to bring clarity to your team, you've shifted a focus, you've re-engaged in a new conversation, and you just gained huge reputation points with your team because you showed that you didn't have all the answers and you're willing to take feedback and see the feedback in real time. So I think that it's a beautiful thing when that happens, honestly.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Larry. No, I was just going to say, where's humility fit in all of this? It has to rank up there pretty high.
Again, the reason why I started what I started, I grew up in a really, really humble family in a humble community. I think humility is a characteristic that you either choose to demonstrate or not, I think. And it's some leaders, there's this persona that we have to carry the strength as leaders. There just is. And, we joke and we joked a little bit offline and we talked a little bit about it at the beginning. I felt like I could never discuss the fact that I had anxiety when I was in corporate America because I was at a level in the organization where it wouldn't necessarily be a positive thing. What I've learned is it's actually a very positive thing because it opens up others and gives them the opportunity to be their real self, their authentic self, their uniquely individualized. We talk about psychological safety in today's day and age. What I realized in hindsight that I wish I would have been more open and honest about my struggles, even at the level I found myself in. And it's a level of humility and understanding and appreciation that I think has to occur there. So humility is important. I mean, from a leadership standpoint, I think humility is probably one of the greatest attributes you could have.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Well, if you think about this as we're kind of rounding out this conversation, there are sales leadership, two of the most rewarding and two of the most high pressure roles available in corporate America, really anywhere. And so anxiety is something that is prevalent in our society. And I think it's something that is maybe nearly epidemic inside the sales profession. I'm curious, what would you say to our friends who, struggle with anxiety and maybe have been kind of silently living with it and it's gotten worse inside their role as a salesperson?
Yeah, I appreciate this question more than you possibly can imagine. The pressure to perform is real for all of us. Not just in sales organizations. You see a heightened sense of the pressure to perform on a daily basis. I do, at least. I see it in every client I work with, and I see it with my children who are now 23 and 22, and in the real life in the professional world. I would say two things. One, give yourself grace, and don't label it. Understand what it is, what is causing it, and anxiety is something that we want to label. And I think what I've learned in the work that I've done to help heal myself is that understanding what the root cause and issues were will relieve a lot of any angst that you might have. But pressure to perform is real, especially with sales leaders, especially with sales organizations. Expectations are not getting less, they're getting more dramatic. And so I would, like I said, just give yourself some grace for sure.
And speaking from this is speaking the truth on this one, because I deal a lot with it, is because I'm so hard on myself, figuring, right, I'm the only one who's got this issue. I'm probably here to say there's a lot of people who are walking the same line I am, or you are, or Darrell is, or any of our listeners who probably deal with it on a daily basis.
Larry, I'll tell you, yes, 100%. And it was, I think via LinkedIn post, if I'm not mistaken, and maybe some podcast appearance like this, when I started talking about my anxiety, I can't tell you the number of private text messages I received and LinkedIn DMs that I received that said two things. I had no idea. And can you talk?
Yeah.
And so, especially men, we want to show strength and demonstrate strength, and that's great. I mean, that's a wonderful attribute to have strength and resiliency, and we should be more open about it, because you're not alone, for sure, not even close to being alone. So it's interesting. It doesn't define who I am now. It used to at one point, particularly early career, defined who I was, defined what I did, what I didn't want to do. And now, again, maturation, time, healing, work, effort. I don't label it anymore, and I've gotten to the root. I've identified what the root cause was, and when you identify what the root cause that was causing your anxiety, it's amazing what happens. You free yourself up.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, thank you for being a voice on that.
Yeah.
Before we wrap up, I just want to go back to this resonance thing. I think this is a really, really beautiful concept. If you could share one more thing with this incredible group of sales professionals around the world around resonating and that you think is important for us to know, what would you say?
I think it's about connection and trust and connection. We could use kind of either word, but I would think of it in terms of honesty, shared experiences, common cause, and felt alignment. We're going to sell more business and sell more stuff if we are trusted and connected with the person or the group or entity we're selling to. And for me, it really starts with being truthful and transparent in your actions. You build kind of shoulder to shoulder. We're in this together. I'm not selling you something. This is a solution that I know you need. We're going to do it together. That we're working towards a meaningful goal together, and that there's an alignment in what we're doing together. And I think that's a mind shift. That needs to occur more, is that you can't think of it as a product or service that you're selling. It is more than just a relationship too. But how do we create a unified trust and connection that's deeper than just products and services? Because products and services shift; they just do. And but resonance doesn't. Very rarely does resonance shift.
Wow.
Oh, this is so good. I just wanted to say, Scott, I'm grateful that you've entered our community and for you sharing this time with us, because if there's, Darrell and I always say, if, write or downer, it's just this, it happened on the podcast years ago. All I'm going to say is this is a write or downer. So I'd encourage people, pause, and reflect on this one, because I think this is something that resonates with a vast majority of people out there.
Well, thank you guys. I'm so grateful for you having me on the show too. So thank you. And I appreciate those kind words.
Well, I know the one question everyone is asking themselves right now and wants to ask you is, how do I get more Scott Ramey in my life?
Yeah, I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. So I would probably start there. And then my website is thescottramey.com. And I know scottramey.com wasn't available. So the Scott Ramey, I get so much crap for the, are you the?
No, the Scott Ramey.
Yeah, thescottramey.com. But LinkedIn is a great way just to connect. And if message me, and I'm pretty engaged there.
Super.
Beautiful.
Well, hey, Scott, thank you for sharing your time and your heart with us today. This has really resonated with me for sure.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you having me.
Awesome.
Our pleasure.
Great conversation, Larry.
Oh man. Yeah, I mean, I'm just going to go back and watch this one and watch this one and watch this one, because everything that Scott shared with us resonated with me, because it's something that I deeply work on. Darrell, that is, I beat myself up over a lot of this stuff that we talked about, and it really got me thinking. Hopefully got our listeners thinking as well.
Well, and also the categories of resonance and dissonance. Am I resonating?
Yeah.
with, this room, this situation that people hear, or are we like, not resonating at all? And the difference between the two is very, very critical for success. I liked what he said too about clear communication, to go, what do they actually need to hear, and how can I say it in the fewest number of words? I feel like when I'm not resonating, I want to just keep talking. And so probably be a great time to end the podcast. So
it might just be.
Hey, thank you for joining us today. Thank you to everybody who is liking and sharing this podcast and leaving reviews. It helps spread the word of this movement of authenticity and trust right here in this profession we all love.
We appreciate you. We're grateful. Darrell, I think it's time that you wrap this podcast up.
That's good. Well, that is definitely resonating with me, Larry. So until next time, keep being genuine, keep being authentic, keep building trust, resonate, and most of all,
sell from the heart.